So in the next 20 minutes or thereabout, we want to lay a foundation about project management. What is it all about? And so that we lay a very good foundation for us to move forward. All right, so basically, just a minute. So I want to lay foundation on project management, and all the processes and the phases that we have in project management. So what is a project? A project is a temporary endeavor that produces a unique product, service, or a result. It is a temporary endeavor. What does that mean? It means it has a peculiar time to start and an anticipated or an expected time to finish. We do a lot of things every day. Some are projects, some are not. Operation is different from a project because operation is a routine thing, is a continuous thing. But a project is temporary in endeavor, and what is being created is unique because it's a product. It either is a product, is a service, or is a result. In terms of maybe you are doing a research work, your result is the unique thing that you create. All right, something must be created at the end of a project. It can be a product, a unique one. It can be a unique service. It can be a unique result. And it is important that we know that a project is temporary in nature and it has a definite beginning and a definite ending. So it's not an open-ended. We do a lot of projects in the side of this world that you don't even know where you're going to finish. You just start, you get some small money and you just start something. That is not the ideal way that a project should be. The way a project is supposed to be run, it's supposed to be unique, it's supposed to be temporary, and it's supposed to be progressively elaborated. What does that mean? For instance, if you have software projects, you discover that when you get a software, they ask you to update, to upgrade, and stuff like that. So they add new features, they add new protection, they add upgrade and stuff like that. So you, especially in agile projects, you get to discover new products. You have additions, though progressively you make that development. So that's what progressively elaborated must be. We do a lot of activities in our daily life that are projects, as it were. You want to do that naming, you want to do that birthday, you want to do that wedding. It can be treated as a project, all right? And there are some other, for you to have a project, there are some things that you need to do for that project to be successful. We're going to be looking at that very briefly. All right, so what is project management? So project management is the application of knowledge, of skills, of tools, and of techniques to satisfy project requirements. Those four things must be present before you call yourself a project manager. You need to have a knowledge of what project management is all about, the skills of a project management, hard skills, soft skills, you need to have it. Then the tools, pie chart, softwares, different kinds of analysis, you need to be able to use those tools. And the techniques, the methodology that you want to adopt to run a project in order to satisfy project requirement. Details includes preparing a business case to justify the investment. For instance, a business case is an input to a project charter, a document that you prepare at the initiation stage of your project. And things like estimating of resources and timing is part of what a project manager should do. You're developing and implementing a management plan for the project, leading and motivating the project delivery team, managing risks, issues, and changes in the project. Before you start a project, the anticipated anticipated cases that can come in that can affect the project negatively, they are risks. And when you start the project and they begin to happen, then they become issues. All right. When risks materialize in the course of a project, they become issues. And of course, you manage changes in the course of a project. Hardly will you see a project that does not encounter any change by virtue of parameters, conditions, and factors that have changed, that are different from when the project was being planned. And of course, during the course of the implementation, it is important that you monitor progress against the project management plan. All right. Then, of course, you close the project in a controlled manner, in a controlled fashion when appropriate. What are the things that has to be done when you close a project? There's a formal way of closing a project. Lessons learned should be documented. Vendors should be paid. Until you pay the last vendor, you cannot say that you are closing a project. And of course, the project team should be disbanded. When those three conditions and some other things are fulfilled, then you can say you have closed a project in a formal way. So value for projects. In this part of the world, we do a lot of projects for the sake of doing it. If you look at the life cycle of a project, start from the development, the initiation stage, the conceptualization to the planning stage, to the delivery stage, to the maintenance stage. You know, everything has to be looked at should be analyzed comprehensively, and the funds should be available. Everything should be set before a project really starts. And the purpose, what are we trying to achieve? Why do we need to undertake this project? What value is the project bringing to the table? What value is the project bringing to the bottom line of an organization or a company? Before you decide, you make that decision. The important thing, that should be a value addition. If you are doing a project and you cannot identify a value addition, then that project is an irrelevant project. Why do we do projects? We do projects because we needed additional money to add to the bottom line. There is your brand, you want to upgrade your brand, you want to do something in customer service, you want a new product, you want to change product or a service. Those are some of the reasons why a project is being done, and it's important that value must be created. You don't do projects without identifying the value that is going to be handed. Of course, a project manager, what are the responsibilities of a project manager? It is assigned by the organization to lead the team that is responsible for achieving the project goals. He must have precise and concise and clear written and speaking skills. He must understand stakeholders on a project. Who are your stakeholders? Your vendors, your management, your team members, your stakeholders. It is important you know how to manage them, because they can make or they can mar the success of your project. And of course, a project manager should be able to simplify communications among stakeholders. 80% of the work of a project manager is communication. Communicate, communicate, and communicate. And while doing that, there should be no ambiguity. It should be clear and precise. And of course, feedback is very, very important from stakeholders, so that you can you can improve on what you are doing. All right, so there's a difference between project management and operations management. Operations management is an ongoing concern, it's a routine concern. All right, you want to consider acquisition, development, and allocation of resources that firms need to deliver goods and services. So it's quite different from a project. All right, then when you talk about program management is a group of related projects managed in a coordinated way to obtain benefits and control not available from managing them individually. So it is important for you to say you want to go into program management is when you have groups of related projects, and there should be value addition when you manage them together as against managing them separately and individually. There should be some competitive advantage, all right? When you manage a project together, you can, for instance, one advantage might be that you are able to pool resources together, all right? A resource can be available for different projects, all right? So a project may or may not be part of a program, but a program will definitely always have projects, all right? It focuses on the project interdependencies, and it helps to determine the optimal approach for managing them. So there should be an advantage when you do these things together, unlike doing it separately. And in that case, you will have a program manager that oversees all the projects under it. Then a portfolio management is a step ahead, which is a combination and collection of projects or programs and of subsidiary portfolios, and managed as a group to achieve strategic objectives. It is a collection of projects and programs. So portfolio is a collection of projects and programs, and the aim is to achieve strategic long-term objectives. All right, so for a project manager to be effective and to be up and doing, there are some three talent triangle. PMI call it 3 talent triangles. Three things that are very, very important: the technical prowess of the project manager, the soft skill, which is a leadership, and strategic and management and business management. All right, what are the technical skills? You should be able to apply the knowledge. You should be able to manage, score, schedule, risk. That's some of the things we are doing today. We're looking at planning, basically. That's the major emphasis of this training. Then you should be able to tailor the tools and processes and to achieve your, so the technical aspect of project management, you should have it. Then leadership skills, these are soft skills. You should be a people's person. We relate with people every day. We are not the ones that we do the job. The guys that we get the job done for us. The soft skill that is required for us to deal with them. We have to be visionary and optimistic. We have to be trusted, all right? When they divulge some information to us, how do we treat it? Confidential information should be kept confidential. And like I said, communication skills is key, because if you are not able to relay your message, you are not able to relay your specifications and your instructions clearly, and there is ambiguity, you have problems. You lose money, you lose time, you lose material, and you lose a lot of things. And you should be a lifelong learner. You have to give credit to others when they do good. It's not only about seeing the bad thing. When they do good, you should appreciate them. Then you should be a critical thinker, and you should be able to build effective teams. You should be able to build effective teams. The strength of your team depends on the quality of the people that are working with you. The strength of your team is a function of the quality of people that are working with you. All right. So, like I said, you should have leadership skills. Leadership skills is very, very important. Then also strategic and business management. What does that mean? It means as a project manager, you should have a global, we call it eye level of the organization, a global view, a global understanding of what is happening in your place of work. You need to have a knowledge of business functions such as IT and finance. All right. You should have the product and industry expertise. You should seek knowledge from functional managers. Who are functional managers? functional managers are the CFOs, those guys in procurement, those guys in finance, those guys in IT, those guys in logistics, those guys in operation. You should have, you should get knowledge from them whenever you need it. And you should have an understanding of the company's mission, goals, and competition. All right, you should know who your competitors are. So as a project manager is a level above. You understand? You need to have those information in order to be able to take better decisions. And all these things help the PM to take better decisions for the project. So we have phases and deliverables in project management. What are phases and what are deliverables? A phase is a collection of logically related project activities that culminates in the completion of one or more deliverables. So for instance, the number of phases depends on the industry type and size and the complexity of the project. Let me explain that. For instance, in the 5 phases of, let's say we have a construction project. We can have the foundation phase, we can have the construction phase. All right. So under foundation can be treated as a phase. We have deliverables under that foundation. You have to prepare the ground. That's a deliverable. You have to excavate. You have to do a lot of items under that phase. All right. So deliverable is a subset of a phase. A deliverable is any unique and verifiable product, service, or request or result, may be tangible or intangible, must be accepted by the customer or sponsor for the phase. All right. So a project life cycle, like I talked about, as a project manager, you should be able to analyze the life cycle of a project. If we take a building project, a construction project, for instance, we have the development stage, you have the construction stage, then we also have the maintenance phase. So when you are doing life cycle analysis, all those phases has to be analyzed from start to finish. And when we talk about projects, we have basically 2 types. We have what we call predictive and what we call adaptive. The predictive is what they call the traditional, all right? And that has to do with projects that you can predict. You want to have a building, a simple bungalow, you can predict a lot of things. You know what your foundation is, you have your land, you know the material you're going to buy, you can estimate and be correct the time you are going to spend. That is a traditional or a predictive project. All right. Then we adaptive projects are projects that are agile, are projects that are progressively elaborated. All right. Then in the midst of these 2, there is what we call hybrid. All right. We have hybrid projects. Hybrid project is a combination of both predictive and adaptive projects. Then the work of a project manager is integration. We're going to be looking at the processes of project management. So a project manager integrates. I will talk about that when we go to that slide at the back. So you have many moving parts on a project. You need to integrate them. And what are the parts? They are people, they are processes, and they are products. And a lot of them are happening at once or in a certain order. Some of them are happening simultaneously. Different human behavior and personality to deal with. Many different products, such as new and old technologies going together. For instance, virtual team working from home is something that is common nowadays. And the people that you need to manage are your stakeholders. There are different strategies for managing stakeholders. There are some that you should keep them informed. There are some people you should monitor them closely. There are some people you just give them information. All right. There are a lot of strategies that we need to use to be able to manage the stakeholders. Who are your key stakeholders? They are your project manager, your customer, your project team that gets the job done, your project sponsor, it provides resources and support, then functional managers, departmental managers from other departments. All right, these are functional managers. Also, they are very key. Their decision, their influence have a way of affecting the project either way. All right, so when we talk about organizational structures, I will not delve too much about it. Well, there are different companies. There are some companies that is basically we call them functional companies, where we have these functional managers, and we have the extreme, which is the projectized of organizational structures. These are offices that we have PMOs, project management office, PMO. Everything they do here, they have total control on resource, they have total control on budget. Their role as a project manager is full-time. They have permanent staff. That is a projectized environment. All right. But in a functional environment, the project manager has little control. All right. So he doesn't really have much resources. He has to get resources from other companies when they have projects. All right. Budget control is being done by functional managers, and in between these extremes we have matrix organizational structure from weak to balanced and to strong. All right, so project constraints, these are the issues that a project manager deals with every day in order to deliver a project. Hardly will you see a project where these constraints are not present. Your scope is a constraint. If you are doing anything outside what you are supposed to do, what is in your bill of quantities, you're wasting money. Your schedule is there. Money is not always available. The risks are there, the ones that are within our control and the ones that are outside our sphere of control. And of course, quality must not be compromised in any project. And resources are always limited. They have to be managed. The 6 constraints of projects are very, very key, and it's important that a project manager is monitoring all of them to be sure that they are able to keep them under control. Please, just a minute, I need to answer somebody. All right, I needed to answer somebody that was logged out, finding it difficult to access the Zoom platform again. All right, so what we have here is what we call the project management process group. Project management process group. On my left, we have 10. It's one of the things that came out in our test. We have 10 knowledge areas, and on the topmost, we have 5 project groups. If there's anybody here that is interested in doing project management, PMP exam, all these processes, we have about 49 of them. You need to know what all of them are all about. There's a simplified way of learning them, which I will give us the necessary material to look at that. I think during our second or third week. All right. So project integration. I said the work of a project manager is what integrates all these moving parts. We have initiation, planning, executing, monitoring, and control. Is something that is key to. It's familiar to anybody that is involved in project. But it is worthy of note to mention that under planning we have about 24 processes, which tells us the importance of planning, and it's part of what we are looking at today using a tool which is Microsoft Project. The planning, we have 24 items there. All right. But on the knowledge areas, project integration, project scope, what is the scope of what you are doing, project scheduling, you plan your schedule, define activities, sequence them, estimate them, and develop a schedule. You have to have a knowledge, you have to plan your cost, how to plan your quality, how to plan your resource, how to communicate, your communication plan, your risk management plan, your procurement management plan, and stakeholder management plan. All right, we have 49 of them according to Project Management Book of Knowledge. We will try and go into it in some detail later to see what we can learn from it. Then, like I said, we have 49 processes. All right, they are divided into 10 knowledge areas and 5 process group: integration, scope, schedule, cost, project quality, resource management, communication, risk, procurement, and stakeholder. Then we're on the process initiation, and you can see that planning is 24. When you are executing, at the same time you have to monitor and control, then you close the project properly. So initiation is when the project is authorized. Planning, project objectives are determined. Project objectives are determined, and as well as how to reach those objectives within the given constraint. Then the execution stage is when the project is, you acquire resources to achieve the job. And of course, when you are executing, you are monitoring and controlling. Your project performance is monitored and is measured to ensure the project plan is being implemented to design specifications and requirements. And of course, the project and its various phases are brought to a formal end. So for all those processes, there's what we call input, there's what we call output, and there is what we call tools and technique. All right. So for instance, if you take let's see, if we take develop project charter, for instance, a tool for an input tool can be a business case that provides the justification for that project. All right, so there are tools that you use to do analysis when you want to prepare a project charter, and the output is the end result of those efforts. All right, for those 49 processes, we have inputs, tools, techniques, and outputs. Okay, that will be all